So over the past week, I've been sicker than a nun doing a kickflip. Whoa, man, that was pretty sick. You know, I've been coughing, sneezing, other things that you do when you're sick. But what's worst of all was that I was not playing any new games. That is, until one of my good friends, Nana, gifted me a strange game that I never heard of, Ultrakill. Now, at first, I gotta be honest and say that I brushed off the game at first glance. Like, it just looked like a knockoff Doom game, and I just really wasn't interested. But I shit you not, the first level I played in the prologue alone, I was already hooked into the game. You know, a cool fill-in-the-gap story that the player can or cannot look into. Sweet. Movement that feels so smooth that you can actually feel it. Oh, amazing. Like a game where you can shoot a coin into the air and then use your shotgun's grenade launcher to wreak absolute havoc. God damn, dude, it's everything I wanted in a game. So anyways, what exactly is Ultrakill? Well, Ultrakill is a fast-paced first-person shooter game developed by the one-man army known as RC Hakita Patala. I'm already picturing the comments now about how I butchered his name. It's just an inevitable fate at this point. Ultrakill first came out in September of 2020 as early access, and over the years, the game has updated and evolved into this fucking masterpiece of a game. The game isn't quite finished yet, might I add, before going in depth about it. Act 2 only came out on August 16 of this year, so only like 4 days ago from recording this. But even though the game isn't done and is still in early access, this game is already becoming one of my all-time favorite indie games. I love all the features in this game, whether it be the kick-ass soundtrack, or the disgusting yet eye-grabbing visuals that are always so fascinating to look at. Even the level of detail that is in this game, details that can either help you find one of the secret levels, or even help you turn your enemies into a bloody paste on the ground, can become so minute that I could probably play this game over and over again and keep finding new shit in it. This game just utterly slaps. Even at the very difficult spots in this game, I never wanted to throw my headphones and kick my chair and then never play the game ever again. I mean, I did do that actually. I just didn't quit the part. So what is all in this game, and why does it already have a big community that cherishes it even before the official release? Well, sit back, relax, and watch as I explain to you why shooting a 12 gauge into this hideous looking lobster is the most badass thing you could possibly think of. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the plot first. So if you've not played the game already, this is your one and only spoiler warning, alright? You get 0 warnings left. Are we good? Alright, let's briefly talk about this. Ultrakill takes place after the human population becomes extinct, with most of the dead being sent to the fiery pits of hell. Something's weird about that though, as it seems like the people being sent there are not deserving to be sent there, almost as if something is off with the divine power of God. You though are not a human or a devil or anything like that. You are just a simple robot called V1. You were created as this type of war machine that can regenerate health through sucking the blood of other demons and angels like the leech that you really are. Your goal is to simply just make it through all the layers of hell, trying to absolutely decimate every single demon in your path to harvest its blood. That's a simple enough plot, and if you really want to as a player, you can just not take in any more lore if you want to. And I kinda like that in a game. Want to shoot some demons with some fast-paced music in the background? Go right ahead, have some fun. Want to learn about what happened to heaven and hell that makes everyone scared, confused, and well, in hell? Go right ahead and look for the secrets, books, and pay attention to the dialogue. Oh, and if you want to know about the further lore and like stuff in Act 2, here you go. There's this court of judges up in heaven that decides the rules and fates of those in heavens and hell. They're supposed to just carry out and enforce the rules that God gives them, but something happened to God, and now we have these corrupt fucks creating a dictatorship. And as you're slashing and dashing, you encounter Gabriel the Archangel, the person who was sent to kill you from the court. Oh, and the reason Gabriel was sent to kill you was because everyone in heaven thinks that the council or court or whatever the fuck is this powerful group that can never be dethroned. But anyways, after fighting him twice, he finds out that he is a mortal being after all, and starts to question the will of the council, so much so that he brutally murders everyone in it to show the heavenly people that nobody should fuck with them. God, I love this game. And that's the main plot, very much dumbed down. There's a bunch of other bosses and other levels that have their own mini plot, like one of the bosses, V2, is the carbon copy of you. Only difference was that it was created during peacetime, so it doesn't need to harvest blood from anyone else, making its healing non-existent. The Leviathan is a culmination of drowned demons, with its heart on its head to show its despair and anger Anguish, which is also its own weak point. Even the common enemies that you'll see that you just always will blow their brains out in a matter of milliseconds have their own little bit of lore if you go ahead and look at the index at the beginning of each level. Just shit like that where you can go out of your way to look at subplots or even just tactics in each level is so amazing, and that's where I'll leave out the plot, as I highly encourage you to scrub and look through everything. But with the plot out of the way, how is the gameplay? It's really good. I mean, bust a fat nut good. Starting off the game, you are in the prologue for your first few missions. Here, you get to understand the dash, slide, wall jump, ground pound, and other movement mechanics, alongside offensive attacks and parrying. Also, make sure when you get taught how to play, you very much understand the mechanics, as the prologue will fucking kick your ass, bend you over, and then call you Sally Sweet Tits. You start out with very limited weapons and upgrades, and even fighting the final prologue boss, the Cerberus, will probably take you over a dozen or so tries before you kill it, as a second one spawns in at half health, and they get angry if you take too long to kill them. What's cool about them and the other two bosses you encounter during the prologue, oh, by the way, every level has you facing either a horde of enemies or a boss, some are easy and some will make you lose your voice from screaming, will return as uncommon enemies throughout the game. But once you finally beat the prologue, and once you finally get to see what's in store, the game no longer holds your hand. Yes, it was holding your hand, and you are on your own. After the prologue, you get sent down these layers of hell, with the first one just being purgatory, and the others being the 7 deadly sins. Even though the levels feel pretty linear, it's actually quite the opposite when you get to know the secrets. Some secrets can make you find power-ups like dual-wielding weapons, or having extra health. Others are just secret collectibles that you find throughout every level, or you can just full-on skip a level. Like in Purgatory, if you use your upgraded pistol and toss a coin into the water fountain, a path to a secret level shows up that gives you a lot more lore to the game. Or with something more drastic, if you find some skulls around one of these levels, you can end up fighting a secret boss that throws you around like you're a piece of a useless plastic bag in the wind. The secrets are challenging, but they can give such a nice reward. However, though, these secrets aren't the only thing that you can find in a level. Each level offers a challenge to do, and if you complete that challenge, I don't think anything happens right now. I could be wrong, but I feel like you just get a gold star. But if you go ahead and get an S ranking on all the categories at the end of each level, and if you go without dying at all, you get a special P ranking for perfect. Get a P rank on all the levels and you fight a fucking meatball, bro. God damn, that's a spicy flesh monster. No, but you go ahead and fight Minos Prime, the objectively hardest boss of the entire game, with it having 2 completely different phases. If you thought V2 or Act 2 Gabriel was hard, just you wait. Actually, no, let's go ahead and talk about the bosses. They're all really so fun. Each of the bosses have their own strengths and weaknesses, except Gabriel. He's a fucking god, bro. Some can be very hard as hell, and others are just the Corpse King of Minos Prime. All the bosses, though, were very much fun to fight, even if some were very difficult. And like, even the difficult ones that I took on never became tedious, no longer how long I was fighting them for. And you know, I don't want to talk about all the bosses in this video because there's just so many of them, but let me just go down the list of the ones that I enjoyed fighting the most. Corpse King of King Minos. His fight is very easy to take on, with the one and only real problem is that he's too big for you to heal regularly. You can heal, but it's just gonna be a bitch to do. His design looks godly, with his eyes gouging out to show a bunch of other corpses that shoot at you. It's so sick. What's even cooler is that in the previous levels leading up to the fight, you can find the corpse just wandering around in the background. He just looks that sick. Gabriel Act 1 and Act 2. He's your main enemy throughout the game. At first, he's just a defender trying to stop you from going into hell, but after you defeat him in Act 1, he gets threatened with death, making him be filled with hatred and wrath. His Act 2 fight is so tough, at least for me. So much so that it took me 91 attempts to take him on in the first run, and then I found out I wasn't recording, making the fight just utterly useless, and I had to fight him all over again. God, the things I do for you guys. Oh, and by the way, a little side note here. The voice actor Gianni Matrigano did such a good job.
I will cut you down, break you apart, splay the gore of your profane form across the stars. I will grind you down until the very sparks cry for mercy. My hands shall relish ending you here and now.
He does such a good job portraying a character he used to always be so confident as no other being in the world could take him down, but becomes unsure, angry, and even a little bit scared when fighting V1. Like, just phenomenal work, dude. Sisyphean Insurrectionist. I butchered that name. His battle is very tough. So much so that after Act 2 was released, he had to be nerfed the very next day. His arena is very limited, with a lot of the ground becoming dangerous if you step on it, so be careful. And that's just about half the bosses in the game. There is so much to take on, may it be a secret boss or in a linear fashion. They're just such a blast to take on, and I would take them on any day of the week again. Now, the last thing I want to quickly touch up upon is the visuals and the soundtrack of the game. You know, the movement and the lore of the bosses can be amazing, but I feel like a bad visual and a bad soundtrack could have easily ruined any fast-paced shoot-'em-up game. Like, imagine if Doom 2016 had an inverted color scheme, and instead of Mick Gordon's BFG, you had fucking Mary Had a Little Lamb. Fortunately, though, we don't have to worry about any of the ugliness in the game. The game is genuinely beautiful in a grotesque way. All the levels you enter have their own uniqueness with the environment. Purgatory is a synthetic looking nature that's supposed to be just a prison in disguise. The Lust area is a massive city with more lo-fi type colors that you would probably correlate with love. Gluttony is the insides of, I don't know, are there any biologists watching? Please tell me what animal has an eyeball in it. Greed shows the Egyptian area with the slaves and Moses and stuff. You can tell I know about the Holy Bible. Wrath shows the underwater level, which, you know, underwater level is totally not hated in any game whatsoever. No, but being inside the ship during the Wrath only levels, for it to flip was so memorable, and I love that. And then Hearsay, being the final level of Act 2, shows the Pearly Gates of Hell, combining all these very unique looking levels with the PlayStation 1 graphics, and you have such an unsettling environment that you just have to stop and look at from time to time. Well, actually, you're always just gonna be stopping and looking. And then you just have the kick-ass music. Just take like 15 seconds to listen to this and tell me you don't want to run out with a rocket launcher and blow up all the husks. And to think, Akita made that song 4 hours before launching the Act 2 update. All in all, I absolutely love this game. That's all. Apart from the few bugs I've encountered, like my gun firing without me pressing anything, or the typical ragdoll glitching out, this game seems pretty polished. And for one guy to take the stern and develop while also releasing updates at the correct schedule, like, it's just obvious that Akita put his soul into Ultrakill and it paid off so well. This shit is just so entertaining to play, and I would definitely recommend you buy the game to play it. But with that said, I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you all in a later video. Bye for now.